Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? We have got a packed full house in the troll box. A lot of action. Big guest. When I say big, I mean size. He's loved by everybody, most people at least, I think. And we've got your normal trio of dipshits, so to say, is what we've been referred to lately. Prince, number
What's up?
one. How's it going, buddy?
Just living the dream. What can I say, right? Bitcoin, it decided to pump, you know, 10%. I'm happy, right? I don't care. We're in a bear market, whatever. We just got a 10% pump. I'm fucking, it's lit out here.
And you know what? With that pump, I feel like there was a lot of spots to get in. I feel and make some
You
some
could see it
decent.
coming in last night,
Yeah,
especially around London Open. You could see there was, buy pressure was starting to ramp up a bit. And I know this because I had some shorts open and they got stopped out as I was watching it all pick up. So, you know,
you live and you learn, right, Princey?
you live and you learn, but hey, that's the way it goes.
Number two, killer whale.
Yo,
What's up, buddy?
yo. So yeah, a little bit of bullishness out of crypto, which is rare. I'm still so burnt from my failed endeavor in chop trading all the way down that I'm like I feel nothing from this. Like I'm looking at people and I'm like, I really hope we still go down. Like I've reached that bitter phase where I'm like working against my own self-interest, just like out of pride or trying to salvage anything. But yeah, so
Yep.
let's let it develop a little bit. I mean, I think we're hovering around like 3,600 as of recording this. Good,
Yeah.
but let's chill a bit.
For now, it's just a relief rally.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Anyway,
think too. With this bear market, everyone really at any move, people are ready to turn bullish because obviously we all want to make money and get bullish. So we'll stop talking. Let's get the man, the myth, the legend on. Everyone's tuning in for you tonight, Big Beta. You are a popular dude, so thank you very much for
Gets the people
coming
going.
out of the cave
Oh,
tonight to help us.
opposite of a cave right now. I'm several thousand feet above even Denver. So,
Ooh.
team no air up here.
Living
And
life.
thank you for having me on.
So let's just jump right in, Beta. How we kind of start out with everyone that on the first time they've been on the podcast is just kind of give everyone a little overview of how you got into crypto, what it is that you like about it, and a little background about yourself.
Well, I would say I had a pretty straightforward understanding of commerce in general, pretty young age. My dad was in finance, and so he was working with kind of this startup options trading platform. And so he taught me options pretty young, portfolio building. Then I had a teacher in high school who, really weird guy, who was an English teacher, individually wealthy, just did it for fun. He'd drive like a new sports car seemingly every few months. And he kind of taught compounding, and first time you really get a lesson on compounding gains, that's where you get hooked. I mean, anyone that gets into those Tony Robbins and stuff where he tries to explain, oh well, investing, compounding this interest, you could make this much money starting off with this much money, right? I think that lulled me in to investing rather than spending, which is probably what I do a little too much now. But then crypto, I kind of started off with Bitcoin, and like many people, it started with the Silk Road. And so my
Yeah, we've
friend
we've had
basically,
a lot of our
I'm sure
guests,
you've
I
had
guess.
a myriad of people just go, yeah, well, Silk Road. And I remember I didn't know anything about it. And a friend said, well, we can buy with this thing called Bitcoin. And I let him kind of handle that. And then I think I was on Reddit and I stumbled upon the explanation of 256-bit encryption and what it would take to artificially create or essentially hack, quote, a Bitcoin. And that was pretty cool too. I mean, I don't know how much of that was true. It's basically this photo saying that you would need a planet-sized computer, etc. I think they called it a Dyson Sphere or something. But then when I didn't really trade crypto until around 2015 was when I kind of, and essentially was just hedging against myself because I wasn't trading multiple crypto assets at all. There wasn't a lot of prevalence in that, and the books were even thinner than you can imagine. But I traded other things all along, a lot of equity options. But crypto really got a hold of me because of that kind of Wildian anonymity, where I came onto the community at first with an account that was like a meme bot where it would just fetch memes from like a Reddit pool. And there was a lot of people in the community, like the anonymous community, I remember, because do you kind of remember the turn of that, where that was all the rage, where this sort of unbiased news network or news coverage, and then it built into the kind of the sociological ideals with the Guy Fawkes mask, and then you had V for Vendetta and all that. And I noticed everyone around that time started to shill Bitcoin, at least in that community. And so then that's where I kind of got in, and everyone was anonymous. And I remember reading a quote that said, give a man a mask and he'll tell you the truth. And I kind of found it was a lot more fun having a group of guys that weren't afraid of what they said, essentially. And I found that they were more abrasive, more blunt on their opinions. And then, how Bitcoin might disrupt financial systems. And that's exciting stuff. And then you start to see it get implemented more and more through then 2016, 2017, obviously was my most exciting year for crypto.
Right.
I think we all can agree we want that again.
That was a fun year. Yeah.
It was
Yes,
great.
It was.
Hey, Beta, curious to hear, with your dad being in finance, have you brought this up with, I mean, obviously I'm sure he knows about it. What's he have to say about everything?
Well, I think he trusts that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I can say. He didn't, because I was pushing it on him for years, and really it was only till 2017, ironically, that he felt that he should look into it himself. But then in the last 14 months or so, that's been the opposite. He checks in on me now just to see if, all right, well, are you still okay?
Yeah. A lot of my conversations with my dad sound the exact same way, by the way. He's like, so the crypto thing, like,
right.
like, uncomfortable, but wants to see,
Every once in a while, my old man will ask, like, so
Right.
what's my balance at? Like, you were just mad, you're just holding those coins for me. What are they at right now?
Yeah.
It's like, let's just go on to something else.
Well,
I told this story.
Yeah. They just don't
No.
understand that you can short sell. They don't understand you can hedge against yourself. And that's only if you're trading. I mean, they also don't know your entry. I mean, it is very recent. People always forget just how low the price was a blink ago,
Yeah.
And I've been in longer than I would say most people. And I do remember, I never imagined any of this would happen. Not even remotely close.
Yeah.
And I was optimistic, but I had the time scale we were dealing with. It's still amazing that we're at 3,650 right now on the chart I'm looking at. That's still ridiculous.
I remember hearing people say 10K, and I thought it was just absurd. And it was like below 1,000 at that time. I was like, no freaking way! Like, get out of here, right? And then
Right.
All right, Beta, let's just get the monkey out off our back here. The troll box, a couple times I've seen it on there. Obviously, you're a bodybuilder. Let's just kind of talk about that. What do you see as a correlation between the health of a trader and then trading? What are your thoughts on that?
Fitness,
yeah, fitness as a whole.
Well, I would say fitness has helped my trading, and trading has helped my fitness as well. Introspect in trading is kind of the last thing I learned, is how to identify or just how to recognize the fact that you're your best contraindicator, and
Mm-hmm.
learning, am I pushing a narrative? Why do I want to put my stop loss there? Is that just an arbitrary percentage, or
Mm-hmm.
as it approaches my stop loss, is the volume telling me maybe that I should market close this right now, whereas I might just want to wait because I feel like I have to be a perfectionist, or I feel like my conviction has to be this way. And so I kind of found with bodybuilding, and not just bodybuilding, I think everyone needs exercise. I think people don't really understand how much it could be affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to study mechanics of the body and your hormones too, controlling stress hormones and cortisol, and just what it does to the body to exercise. And I did find that bodybuilding and trading are definitely a match made in heaven, because there is a lot of intensity and then immediate leisure lifestyle that you want to
Mm-hmm.
take on.
Right.
You're basically sitting around and eating, the rest of the day. I might have a hour to 2 hour session. I might do like yoga at night before I go to bed. That's about it. And then the rest of the time I'm multitasking either video games and trading, and I've been doing a lot less. But yeah, as far as uh, how trading has helped my bodybuilding too, is just don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself about a trade or a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're, and then in the gym, similarly, did did I really accomplish what I set out to do? And there's something to be said about getting in the gym and kind of finding out what you're made of. I think you get in, and maybe you learn something about yourself in the highest point of pain. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of took that. I was like, well, am I lying to myself? But that was enough. So I kind of did that. I think changes a lot of things about, uh, am I telling myself the truth? And
Yeah.
you get a lot less done if you're not. So I would say that's kind of the relationship I have between those two
You
things.
mentioned, I think, briefly that you're trying to do less trading now.
Yeah.
Maybe talk us through the events that took place to lead you to that point, because I've had almost the exact same thing where I've
Hmm.
tried to trade this downturn and I've done horribly, and so
Yeah.
eventually I've reached a point where I'm like, you know what, fuck this, I'm not good at this. So
Right.
walk us through what that kind of couple of months or however long it was like.
Well, I would say initially, like, I didn't even start shorting Bitcoin till I think 16K, and I remember having pretty pretty high euphoria between that
Mm-hmm.
all-time high down to there, and just I continued to feel like we were gonna keep going 25K, 30K.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to say that I thought very well 50K. I don't like when a lot of these traders claim like they knew. I think some did know. I think some knew we'd have a blow up top. And the signs were definitely there, and I ignored them.
Yeah.
And then so what started to happen then, even much later now in the recent months, was I was doing all right, but I was finding that I was making a lot more money in equity, and then I was hunting for a position, watching certain rates and telltale signs of a possible bear market in equity, and so I found that I was searching more for maybe a large position in an inverse ETF that's leveraged like on an index like SPY.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally found that, and I got faked out several times with a large position, I think around April
Mm-hmm.
with SPY, and I found I was making a lot more money, and I just started trading less Bitcoin. I wasn't logging on as much.
Yeah.
Um, and part of that also wasn't necessarily, is this going to make me more money by reining it in? Because I think there's some truth to that too. I think a lot of people do overtrade, but there
Yeah.
was also a time where I was, making stacks every day because I was overtrading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
people say, oh, well, don't over leverage.
Yeah.
Don't even use any at all. And I would say there's also a time and place to
Step
go
on the
balls
gas.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think actually mostly it was just lifestyle.
Mhm.
You know, there's like life stresses and stuff, and
Yeah.
focusing more on bodybuilding, and then also like ulterior investments. You know, there's other ways to make money too. So I would just say I maybe make a couple trades, 3 to 5 trades a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what other types of investing are you into?
Well, so property, I help out with a network of growers too,
Hmm.
where sometimes you just need cash.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy one. Like I have friends in that industry, um, where they've had like startup grows, and I live
Yeah.
around here, and so it's extremely prevalent. There's a lot of money to be made that people don't even realize. They think that, oh well, you're in a legal state. It's strong armed. You can't. It's hard to just get cash into a business and get a nice return, but you can, and
Hmm.
that's been one way.
Yeah.
Buying and selling. Like I've had a few watches, stuff like that. I think everyone kind of
Oh yeah.
sees me as this weird jewelry collector, and a lot of people don't know. Actually, I think only some of my closer friends and telegrams know that I've been doing that a long time. Is I even used to go to try and sniff out these uh, essentially garage sales for jewelry. And now
Okay.
it's not of that. You find out, say, some rich old woman wants to sell all her stuff. She's gonna. I mean, I've flipped mink coats, man,
Jeez.
Jeez.
for better profit than.
Just hustling.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is pure trading right here. This is
Yeah. Well, think about it. You can make, yeah. People like to think that your best ROI is just going to be a nice trade, but you can make a decent amount off some pearls, man.
I guess the thing is, like, the barriers to entry, like, a lot of people are like, well, I kind of know crypto. I know zero about trading jewelry around through garage sales.
Yeah.
Like, I have zero experience doing that,
That's-
perhaps.
Yeah, and they definitely weren't garage sales. These people, I mean, but they,
Sorry.
that's the way I would think of them, though.
We
Yeah.
need to change the description on this to say Big Beta is a trader, bodybuilder, and garage sale connoisseur.
Exactly.
Just a bargain hunter. Nobody's ever hunted a bargain like this guy. He's
I'm a
buying Rolexes
fashionista
at
on
garage
the
sales.
side.
What's that show where people go and they do auctions for storage units that are just left over?
Storage Wars.
Oh,
Storage
Oh,
Wars. So we're gonna
Tell
be
me right
seeing
away.
Beta in one of those episodes on
Yeah.
that's a good place to make money too.
Yeah.
Buying a storage unit, if you can get in on a big storage unit, you're just getting a check every month.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to
We
make some passive
we turn this
income.
into a storage unit selling podcast. We're
Yeah,
just like, we're here in this
Storage
unit.
War Street.
Great
We're
old
about to
chair.
completely pivot from crypto, and we are now going into flipping jewelry and storage lockers.
And lazy boy
Shooter
chairs.
says in the troll box, we're going to turn this into cash for gold.
Do I just
Yeah.
swipe up can I see the troll box? Do I just swipe up? I've never used
Oh,
that
yeah.
before.
Yeah, it's that
Um,
YouTube link I sent you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about your trading style. You know, everyone's kind of got
Sure.
their own thing. You know, you don't have to go into large detail and you know really give
Sure.
things away, but maybe
Well,
things that help you. Some things
I'm
you
not
don't
too
like.
complicated with it. I mean, for basic trading, like, yeah, I just look for support and resistance zones. Watch and maybe I see a formation and run it against a volume profile. Make sure. I don't use too many different indicators. Like I like RSI. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty bare bones with it.
Mhm. You say you trade a lot of stock
Mostly
options,
for a
right?
little bit. Yeah, not so much in the last few months, but definitely
Okay.
that was where I kind of started out. And I mean, options are I think options are kind of misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know, like the idea like a derivative security, and you're kind of people don't really understand the analogies of
Hmm.
you're buying you're basically buying the rights at a set price. So like people think like I hear a lot of people try and talk about it in terms of you're buying a contract to a house, and then given the circumstances around what that community might be to prop
Hmm.
that price. So you can think about even like a horse, like
Yeah.
you got a good uh, mare or you bought like the rights to breed essentially, and
Yeah.
you say this horse is going to be worth this much. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I would
Hmm.
say equity really I haven't been looking to trade anything, so to speak, but really just put and allocate a lot of money that might have been in a bank to just say like an FDIC backed ETF.
Right.
And we were so uh, far into this bull run that there was really no play uh, I saw that was easier than a short. So really, I've just been
Mhm.
looking for that, and that as an opportunist, there it takes a long time to get that position, and
Yeah.
I think I might have I think my entry the spy was around like 2,700
Hmm.
ish, so pretty close. I
Yeah.
think it's somewhere like
It's
25
yeah.
something.
It's
So that's looking pretty promising long term, and so I'm not gonna try to manage that too much or even look for a different position because long
Mhm.
term that might be all I need.
Yeah.
And then right
Yeah.
now I'm looking, Bitcoin
Yeah.
to definitely put some money in at the bottom here and start
Hmm. Yeah.
looking
So
into
you think
long
this is the bottom?
positions there.
Are you
Um,
calling the bottom right now, Beta?
let's just say yes so that everyone gets excited.
There we go. And if it
Generational
plays out, you
bottom.
got so much extra clout for that right there. So
Generational bottom.
yeah.
You've been
Buddy,
using the
time
lunar
to come up.
cycles and you are declaring bottom.
Oh
There we
god.
go.
See, I know right now, Gaines and Shower on the floor pissing themselves after you said that. They're loving that. I can't remember where that's. I think I was talking about self-fulfilling prophecies in trading, and I think I don't know who it was that brought up moon cycles and stuff, and I said, well, yes, absolutely. Is there good? Um, there's low risk in say shorting a blood moon. Why is that? Well, if you have the most superstitious people in the world, the Chinese, and
Yeah.
say they all believe the price is going to go down because of this moon,
Yeah.
um, and they're going to short it or sell you, yeah, that's going to have an impact on the price.
Yeah.
And so, whereas some people say, well, no, it's because of the cyclical nature of the moon cycles and stuff. And I said, no,
That's very. I almost want
just
to
a
like dive into that. Like, do the Chinese have the most capital like per person investing in crypto though? I wonder if we're
Really?
actually going to dive into this theory because I think it's kind
yeah,
of
I don't
interesting to
know.
think about. It's something I hadn't
Well, they
considered, but
love they love the trade.
It's
That's yeah.
statistically relevant. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. You
And
see it
they
all the
are
time.
superstitious, like very.
Right.
I remember seeing back when Bitcoin was still doing its run up thing, and I remember like it hit a perfect top on the Chinese pairing of like 8,888 won or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
eight is a really special number to them, and it's like when you see it like that happening, it's like, oh yeah, like what I mean, like there's some superstitions at play here. It's like,
Right.
I agree. But like, is there like an otherwise like a statistical backing to that? Like, I wonder if there's actually evidence or if it's like it's a good narrative. I want to talk about it and run with it, so to speak.
Well,
That's
I've
my
had a
guess.
lot of people get mad about um, what they think that it is this cyclical nature of energy, and they'll try and rip into me and say that, well, you don't understand the the flow of energy and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm basically a scientist by trade. I don't really think uh, you want to argue with it. I tried to pull, actually. I think you had a lot. I forget what his name is, the theoretical physicist
Oh,
you guys had
Alanis?
on. I wanted to get him on there
Yeah.
because I was just getting swarmed by these people. It's kind of like the flat Earth. I used to get into fights with them all the time too.
Of course you did.
Gets your blood boiling. You gotta have a
Wait, on
hobby,
which
man.
side?
We're a spheroid, sir.
Okay. I was going to say we might have to wrap this up, but
Thanks for being on.
I'm gonna
Click.
have.
yeah.
I'm gonna have.
Anyway, we got to go. So yeah, crypto's like I really don't know what to think like right now. I know that's like the most present thing on everybody's mind. I think is like what are we going from here? What are we doing from here? And I really think in my
Right.
mind it's like more flatness and boringness and false breakouts,
Right.
false breakdowns, and just a whole lot of nothing. And I know that's the answer that like nobody wants to hear, and that's almost exactly why I think it's the case because
I
like
couldn't
it's gonna
agree
piss
more.
everybody off.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while, describing it as a very long, depressing, draining accumulation. Is what is most likely going to happen. Is it's got to get boring.
Mhm.
It's got to
Yeah.
get boring.
Like
People gotta
crazy
get tired.
boring. Like we think it's
Yeah.
been boring, but
Well,
it's not
yeah,
been boring
exactly.
yet at all.
I really, yep, right. And then what happens is you'll see people start to jump on these moves like what we've had and get excited and say, well, this looks like a bottom.
Yep.
But how many times have we said that? And are you
Famous last words, yeah.
Many a bottom.
And you're still here tweeting it's like looking at some of these guys. I'm like, you're still here tweeting, seemingly fine. I mean, I look around and I still think a lot of people got to go. A lot of people got to get frustrated. Yeah.
It's funny on that topic because now Not So Fast had a little bit of a thread. I believe it was him on that. And
Mhm.
I thought it was actually really kind of on point, and it made a lot of sense because like I'm in the same boat. It's like, why there's a lot of people who they haven't survived this market. They've probably lost
Right.
everything, but yet they are still here, you know what I mean? And they're not leaving. But I think it comes into being more even about now there's this whole, influencer kind of crowd,
Mhm.
right? And now there's
Yeah.
a whole other, I don't know if you want to call it side business for them that they didn't even think about at the start that now they're into. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting how that all, because, yeah, there was a thing. It's like we really haven't seen many people just disappear. Like,
Yeah. I've seen some signs of capitulation in some people. Just people get real frustrated for a day or so and they blow up on Twitter. And then they're back. They're back. A lot of times, we'll troll those people. I think we have a responsibility to.
Yeah. It's up to the community.
Yeah, because I see a lot. Here's the weird thing is I see a lot of bears that are mad,
Yeah.
and that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, unless really your source of dopamine is Twitter and you're getting less of it because there's less people.
I think that's what it is,
and
though.
everyone-
I think
that's what
like
I
they've
think,
been
too.
right for the past 10 months, and they're like, I want to keep being right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They don't seem to be enjoying their side of the trade. If you've been claiming that you've been short this whole time, then you ought to be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to be. So I'm either calling bullshit, or I think, I don't know.
It's always tough too, right? When you're shorting in an asset, like I guess the CME, the futures there are really nice because it's cash based. But when you're shorting an asset that you're gaining profit in that asset, meanwhile it's depreciating.
Yeah.
It virtually, unless you're using some significant leverage, you're just hedging your losses in so many senses, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's like also though when you're shorting, not only are you right, but you're right when the vast majority of people are going against you. So the ego boost is way higher than just being right along with everybody else being right, because you're always going to judge yourself relative to your Twitter peers or your real life peers who you talk with crypto about. And I think that's a powerful thing. And I don't think we should undersell, the ability, the fact that these people who are calling the bear for the past months and months and months, they've got big time egos now coming into play, and that makes
It's
trading a lot
it's the
harder when
same
you're worried about
thing.
what you
Yeah.
think. And
It's a cycle, right? And it's all part of that. Like, because even in the bull run, it was the same thing. It was just different side of it, right? It wasn't the bears with the huge egos. It was the bulls. And my
well,
God,
yeah,
were
but
they
my
ever
point is
big,
that
right?
it's more powerful to the
Yeah.
downside. And I get that
Yeah.
it's the same thing, but the effect is
Yeah.
not the same in my opinion, because I think you're getting more of an ego boost when you're going down against everybody else, because people's natural state is optimism. People want to believe. They want to just be able to hodl and I'm going to be rich. That's what they want to
That's
believe.
true. Yeah. People want to make money together. It's all joy, happy. And when you can be making money and everybody else is losing money, well, that in itself is, that's special, right? Like, hey, you're outperforming the market.
And have
Yeah.
you noticed that I I tell new traders this too, is sometimes you can identify a bear if you can identify a sort of a, the bear mentality in someone like that, like you said, someone that seems to relish in being contrarian, making money when others aren't. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say that that's more often than not bears.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not so good. I think that's not a good trait to have. I think if you look at really good non-biased traders, people that just kind of they look at the chart, they look at the data, and they try
Yeah.
to, before they make a move, step back, ask themselves,
Mm-hmm.
am I being unbiased? What about the opposite narrative? That they tend to be more successful than the guy that wants that to be true. They want
Mm-hmm.
that bearish narrative to be true because they're also thinking about how it'll feel when they're right and everyone else is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's a
This
bad
is like,
trait to have
yeah,
as a
this is like
trader.
almost something I
Yeah.
want to rant against, because like I've noticed this among a bunch of projects, and just like on crypto Twitter in general, is like the perma bull or the perma bear. And it's like if you call something long enough, you're gonna be right eventually, but it doesn't mean you're smart in analyzing it. And I go to all these coins like subreddits, and like I've seen this the entire way down, where a coin's at $50 and they go, oh, it's a good buy at 30, this is the bottom. Oh, buy more at 20, this is the bottom. And it's like that's not an analysis at all. Like that's just hopeful, wishful thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
that shit is just absolutely rampant in bear markets.
Oh yeah.
I had a
Timing
larger
is,
point.
yeah.
I've kind of
Timing is
lost
a
my
huge
train of
thing.
thought.
Like a lot of people, timing on calls, right? That's what I find is a lot of times people will have the right idea, but they're just way off on their timing, right? And because of that, and especially with the nature of crypto, where things can move so quickly, so explosively, I think, when it comes to timing, you've really got to be on top of that more than most markets, because it can make you look like such an asshole so quickly, right? Like it's,
Right.
Well,
yeah.
short term though, I think like people are quick to gloat though. Like I
Oh,
remember when we
yeah.
had Bacon Chain on like a few months ago, and he called like a bearish move, and the Bitcoin went up like $300, and people were like, "Oh, this guy was wrong," and then it went down like $1,000 after that. And I'm like, it's a very quick to brag thing as well.
But that's
I'd
social
like to
media.
point out that
Yeah.
trade that Cash took a trade where he was underwater for a long time. He held true to his conviction and then he kept holding it and then was
Yeah.
so far into profit then even like I don't know how long the trade was, but maybe a month later. And I remember thinking he was berated that whole month.
Yeah.
But it just
Yeah.
he kind of I don't remember if he babysat it or if he kind of adjusted his stop based on the
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I
Yeah.
said before, I don't believe in like a standard deviation from price entry to your 5-7% range to
Mm-hmm.
your stop. And
Yeah.
people gave him shit for like
Yeah.
a long time, and
I
then he
remember
ended
that.
up making
Yeah.
money. He made money.
And
He
he
made
was
money,
he was the
right?
last one
And
laughing.
now,
Yeah.
and think about it. Now we're like $4,000 or $5,000 on Bitcoin, lower than that. If he
Yeah.
had held that,
Yeah.
he'd have a golden ticket. But nobody's gonna go back and
Mm-hmm.
check him on that and say
Yeah.
and give him what's due. And that's true for a lot of traders.
Cash is like one of the more interesting case studies among traders that I think we've experienced in this bear market, because he really made his name being like really, really right over the past like 8 or 9 months, like very consistently right. And
He's killed it.
I'm going to be curious to see how that adjusts when the price moves the other direction. And Cash is a very good trader, but there is this like kind of ego trap that can be very easy to fall into. And I'm not saying he will, but it's happened to a lot of like pro money managers in the past.
Well, I think he'll do great. I think he'll do great in it when just no matter what the price is. I think the problem was he got rather famous, but during that bear market, because
and now he has to deal with all these idiots.
Totally.
That's the worst part. But because and credit to Cash, he's crushed the bear market, and he's really good at knowing when he just needs to take a step back. And just having chatted with him before personally, like he's very self-aware.
Yes, he is.
And you got you got to be, and so to be able to surf the market both ways, that's a trait you got to have, and so Cash, I think in the end he's going to keep on crushing it. He'll keep doing what he's doing because I don't know, he understands risk management, right? And if you can get risk management down pat, like
if that's true, then I would think so too. You've had more one-on-one experience with him than I have. But it's just like I'm not a good trader. Like somebody in the chat is like, "Oh, like Killer versus Cash trading competition." No need. I would get destroyed. Like, trust me. But one thing I will say is I think I have a pretty good grasp on investor psychology, and I know when I'm an idiot, and I think I do. And so. But I don't know. I mean, if that's true though, then that's a super important thing, is knowing
tough, if
he's
mental
questioning
side,
if he's right.
The mental side of it all.
I like this troll box comment of Blob versus Gaines trade competition.
Oh Lord.
Does Blob trade?
I honestly don't know pick, and they're both gonna be really mad that I said that, but
is there a backstory to this?
I think I'm gonna say Gaines because he's an old man.
And here we go. The rivalry continues.
I love that comment. Does Blob trade? That's my favorite.
I honestly don't know. Like I'm not even messing around. I find it funny that you guys think this is funny because I really don't even know.
Blob is good. He's got
a lot of the new guys. Yeah, I mean,
it's been impressive to watch. Some of these like the new guys coming into the market, and I find and the crew, you can kind of see, and they kind of associate fairly together. A lot of it, and I think it's just. Birds of a feather in a sense. And I think, it's so impressive to me because you just watch and like how they approach every trade, and they'll share their charts, and, you can see like the dedication to understanding, their risk ratios, all this shit. And, I remember when I first got on Twitter, nobody talked about that. You know what I mean? It was just, oh, I'm going long or I'm going short. No one gave a shit about your risk ratio, anything like that. So I think it's awesome because, it's just, people like to chirp at crypto Twitter a lot, saying how there's just a lot of shitty traders on crypto Twitter. But I actually don't believe that for a lot of it. There's actually a lot of really intelligent.
A lot better than people think.
Yeah, totally agree.
There's a lot of very intelligent individuals on crypto Twitter, very good traders, and like seeing some of the new crop of guys coming in, it's been impressive as hell.
And what's unfortunate, like with Blob and Flacco, I think they don't necessarily maybe have a huge follower account, so I think a lot of people factor that in when they think, are these people good traders or bad traders, which is complete shit. But like Flacco and Blob, and then
there's lots.
There's a lot of them out there like that. Cruz Z-Bob's pretty good too. He doesn't give himself enough credit, but
I feel like I have this theory though that like when you are like known, then it's very easily to become a bad trader again. It's like
it's not as fun either. When you're posting trades to your account, like because I remember when I first had my account, I would post trades all the time. Like I was posting like every trade, but then it gets bigger, and then you have every idiot out there who wants to come and chirp at you in your ear, and then it just becomes a thing of, well, why the fuck am I putting up with this. You know, I don't need to
Yeah.
share this shit with these people, and I just have them, you know, yapping in my ear anyways. Like, you know, I can find better things to do with my time than go through that. So it's like, but to the guys who do keep putting up their trades, shout out to you guys, because
Well, they don't
you know,
have anything to lose. A lot of the chirpers, they don't have anything to lose
Totally.
coming to your account and picking apart your chart. I mean, Twitter. I don't know when each of you kind of started in and around crypto Twitter, but it's evolved many times over.
oh yeah,
And I don't even think I remember seeing a trading view chart. Maybe the first time was somewhere around like 2016. There just wasn't a large community of people sharing ideas in the same way that it is now.
And like people are more apt to post charts when they're right too. You know, like that's when I posted the most charts.
Yeah.
You know, when I was like, oh, here I see this and it worked, and like so that was clearly 16 and 17.
What was that?
I was gonna say we kind of self-govern too now.
yeah,
Like for example, I made this point. I was talking about this in voice like a few months ago. As I said, we like Elliott wave traders, right? They're probably the most abused of all the traders, besides say like moon cycles and stuff like that, right? Like I would say they get the most shit.
yeah.
But here's the thing: is people weren't giving them shit like 3 years ago. I never remember, and I didn't. I never, you know, I even tried it. Right, I wasn't against anything when I was first learning to trade, but that's the thing is now there's people, and I don't think it's quite the way we want to go. Is now I see a lot of traders that they come onto the scene, and then they maybe think, hey, I'll try this trade technique, and then you have immediately several dozen people making fun of you for using Elliott waves and stuff. So we kind of have self-governed, and even now it's the most popular technique tends to stand tall, and anything else is you know berated in a few years. I feel like, at least from what I've seen. So, but I try kind of everything. Maybe not put money on every technique, but I would say, you know, look for what's best for you. I know a lot of traders that use techniques that I don't agree with, that they make great money, works for them. Their intuition falls in line with it, and you know, do it.
That's the beautiful thing about trading, right? There are so many ways to try and, you know, get alpha, you know, make some profits, and you know, at the end, it's not going to be the same way for every person. And you know, it's. I think you were talking at one point too how you were really slowing down on trading, and you just kind of had this one trade that you knew it, you know, it's going to play out, but you just got to be patient. And you know, being a trader, it can be that simple as just making one trade a year. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, so it's like there's no perfect way, you know, to slice the pie in a sense. It's just, you know, everyone's their own. And I think that's the cool thing though, right? Is because I know myself, it's like you see these things get picked up, and you know, that was the neat thing about crypto Twitter, is there was a lot of intelligence and a say on different techniques, and so you can kind of pick up what other people are using, and then you just mold it, right? And then maybe you say, oh, that's bullshit, I don't even want to touch that, but then maybe you do extract some little pieces that you like.
Yeah, and I mean, I would never. I have no interest to ever revisit Elliott waves or anything like that. They don't work for me. They're not as efficient for me. I don't like them, but I know profitable Elliott wave traders. I do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but I know for me, I know a lot more terrible Elliott wave traders.
It's like
it's hard. It's probably one of the most convoluted techniques. And so
because it can appear so basic, right? It can be very basic when you look at it, and so a lot of people just keep it at its face value in a sense. When you know, and I haven't dived that deep into it, but there is a deep dive into Elliott waves. Although
I've moved in and out of I used Ichimoku for a while, and then I would go back to just,
Mhm.
you know, more rudimentary moving average, you
Yeah.
know, because they're very similar, and
Yeah.
then go back into it. And now, you know, I don't currently use it, but I was making money in both those scenarios. That say sometimes,
Mhm.
and sometimes even your trading style will change, and
Yeah.
it needs
For
to.
sure. Yeah,
You
like
need to adapt. Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the trends I've noticed, and so I'm a self-admittedly not a good trader, but I think like one of the trends I've noticed over hosting this podcast or co-hosting this podcast is that, you know, a lot of the really best, like the really, really good traders, they've gone on this kind of cycle from simple to complex to more simple in terms of their indicators, their strategies,
Mhm.
and you really find out what's best for you. And I think, you know, a lot of people would do well to kind of skip that complex phase where you're just flooding the chart with this and that. And like, you got to keep it simple because your mind's not going to absorb all of these different indicators. And you might think it will, but it's not that easy. And you have
Yeah.
to find, you know, whether it's swing trading or chop trading or just hodling. I mean, that works best for a lot of people. And like, heaven forbid we bring that up, you know, but like
I like
I
how
think
you
that's honestly
pronounce
the
that.
truth.
I was just gonna say how you pronounce that was rather unique.
Hodl.
I know.
It sounds like Hodor. He's about to say
Yeah, am I just
Hodor.
a stupid like crypto head right
Hodor.
now? Probably, but yeah, talk about this shit too much. But
When a lot of people,
yeah,
they think there's also
holding.
one way to use an indicator. I think
Mhm.
that's pretty silly too. Is I see that a
Yeah,
lot. Like I just saw in the troll box something about RSI overbought, oversold, and that is true for most people. That's how they're going to use the RSI.
Yeah.
But there's other ways you can use it that I think are more effective.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Spot
you can use
divergences.
and you can use indicators in conjunction with another. I called it. There's a technique I kind of use called the caboose, where I maybe have a certain amount of conviction in a trade, and then I use maybe a lagging indicator to,
Mhm.
or I use one to say it front run. I use a indicator, create a channel on these two. One is lagging, and maybe one front runs a move, and depending on how the lagging indicator acts,
Mhm.
maybe changes my conviction in this move. You know, there's a lot of weird, like you got to figure out.
Yeah.
That's a more complicated thing that I think a lot of people take a while to visit. Is manipulating these tools because they're
Mhm.
tools, and anybody that's used a hammer, you could
Yeah.
use it for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not
there's a lot
specific
of
to just hitting nails into a piece of wood. You can.
right.
Yeah.
You could throw it at Gainesy's head.
There we go. All right.
All right. I think we're pretty much out of things we have to talk about here, Beta. But do you have any final words before we sign off?
No, I do not.
Cool.
I think it was good
This was
talking.
All
fun,
right.
man.
Well,
Yeah, this was a good
yeah, this
chat.
was good.
yeah. Thanks for
Good.
coming on, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate all your insight. This video on this YouTube has been staring at me this whole time. So we're gonna peace out. I'm gonna watch
All
it.
right,
It's
man.
called Carnival Scam Science and How to Win. So really interested in
Oh,
this.
it's good to know you got off of 4chan finally. So
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that. So
yeah.
Beta, what's your Twitter? It's
It's at
Beretta chain.
Beretta chain. So
Beretta chain, yeah, because it was Glock chain, right?
underscore chain. It was Glock chain, which you know, blockchain, Glock chain. Beretta chain doesn't have the same ring, but
It's good enough. So go
we
give him
can
a
blame
follow.
Jack.
Check him out. Pretty funny, smart guy. So thanks everyone for listening. Hootskis for the boys. Tip that waitress. Have a very Merry Christmas if you don't hear from us again, or if I forget to say that on Wednesday night. So thanks for listening, guys. Peace out. We'll see you.
Thank you.